Most people think getting what they want requires extraordinary talent, money, connections, or perfect timing. But there is another powerful skill. Sometimes the biggest difference between getting an opportunity and watching it disappear is simply having the courage to ask.
A better salary, a business opportunity, useful advice, a referral, or another chance can begin with one simple conversation.
The people moving forward are not always smarter or more talented. Sometimes they are simply willing to make requests other people avoid.
Asking is not begging, demanding, or manipulating someone. It is communicating what you want clearly while respecting their freedom.
When you understand the psychology behind effective requests, conversations become less intimidating and opportunities become much easier to pursue.
The first lesson is surprisingly simple. Stop expecting other people to magically understand what you want without being told.
You may know exactly what you want, but the person standing across from you cannot reliably see the goal inside your head.
Everyone is busy managing deadlines, responsibilities, families, and personal problems, so your unspoken expectations rarely become their priorities.
Instead of hoping someone notices your needs, learn to communicate them directly, respectfully, and clearly enough that action becomes possible.
Vague requests create vague responses, because people cannot act effectively when they are unsure what you actually want from them. Specificity removes confusion and gives the other person something concrete they can evaluate, accept, reject, or modify. Instead of vaguely saying you want more responsibility, ask what specific results would qualify you for a larger role.
That question transforms an uncertain wish into a measurable conversation about performance, expectations, timing, and opportunity.
Instead of asking someone to completely change your career, request one useful introduction that could create the next opportunity.
A focused request feels manageable because the other person immediately understands exactly what action you are requesting. Good asking is not about using more words. It is about removing unnecessary confusion until your real request becomes obvious.
When people understand the request quickly, they can spend their energy deciding whether helping you makes sense.
Your goal is not to force agreement. Your goal is to make understanding effortless before the other person makes a decision.
The next question should always be simple. Why would this person want to say yes to your request?
Many people explain what they want without considering the priorities, pressures, incentives, or concerns of the person listening.
A stronger request connects your goal with something useful for the other person, such as saving time or solving a problem.
Preparation can create value because it demonstrates that you understand the situation instead of expecting someone else to do all the thinking.
Here is my idea. A thoughtful request becomes more compelling. Explain how your contribution could improve an existing situation.
There is a major difference between asking someone to give you something and asking whether you can explore a mutually useful opportunity.
People are more willing to consider requests when they can quickly understand the potential benefit or practical reason behind them.
You do not always need to offer money or favors. Demonstrating preparation, competence, and genuine usefulness can also create value. The strongest requests often create a situation where helping you also makes sense for the person receiving the request.
Before asking, pause and consider both sides of the conversation instead of treating your desired outcome as the only thing that matters.
One of the smartest asking strategies is refusing to demand the entire staircase when you only need the first step.
Large commitments can feel intimidating, while small commitments allow people to evaluate an idea without immediately taking significant risk.
Instead of immediately asking someone to mentor you for years,
Excuse me, could I?
begin by requesting a short conversation about one specific topic.
Sure, let's talk in there.
A short conversation requires far less commitment and gives both people a chance to discover whether a deeper relationship makes sense.
When pursuing business opportunities, starting with a conversation can be more effective than immediately asking for a major financial commitment.
Small opportunities can become gateways to larger ones when you focus on earning the next step instead of demanding the final destination.
Each successful interaction can build trust, information, familiarity, and momentum that make future requests easier. Progress often happens through a sequence of reasonable requests rather than one dramatic moment where everything changes instantly.
Whenever your request feels enormous, ask yourself whether you can separate it into a smaller action that feels easier for everyone.
The goal is not to think smaller forever. The goal is to make the next step easy enough that momentum can begin.
People become uncomfortable when they feel trapped, so strong communication should leave room for an honest no. Don't worry, it's completely okay if not right now. Not right now, sorry. No problem at all.
Giving someone permission to decline can reduce pressure and make the conversation feel safer and more respectful.
A simple phrase acknowledging that you understand if they cannot help can completely change the emotional tone of your request. I know you're busy, so I'd appreciate any help you could offer.
Confidence does not mean controlling the answer. It means being comfortable asking while allowing the other person to choose freely.
When people feel respected, they can consider your request based on its actual value instead of reacting to unnecessary pressure.
A respectful no is still useful information because it tells you something about the person's circumstances, priorities, or willingness. One closed door should not convince you that every possible path has disappeared.
Sometimes rejection simply redirects you toward a different person, timing, strategy, or opportunity that fits better.
Instead of treating rejection as a personal insult, treat it as information that can improve your next request.
Resilience means continuing to ask intelligently after disappointment, instead of allowing one answer to define your entire future. Not right now.
A no today does not always mean no forever, because timing, budgets, priorities, and circumstances can change.
Understanding timing helps you separate permanent rejection from temporary circumstances that might change later.
When appropriate, ask whether there is another way to approach the situation instead of immediately ending the conversation.
A thoughtful follow-up can reveal alternatives that were invisible when you focused only on your original request.
If salary cannot change immediately, other possibilities might include additional benefits, performance incentives, or a defined future review.
Negotiation becomes more productive when you explore possibilities instead of treating the first answer as the only possible outcome.
Good asking requires listening because the other person's response contains information that can improve your next move.
Sometimes the real obstacle is not your idea, but the timing, cost, uncertainty, workload, or perceived risks surrounding it.
Once you understand the obstacle, you can modify the request without abandoning the larger goal you are trying to achieve.
Effective asking is flexible because the objective is to find a workable path rather than win an argument.
Another powerful change is learning to stop apologizing every time you make a reasonable request.
Politeness matters, but constantly apologizing can make a legitimate request sound uncertain before the conversation even begins. Instead of apologizing for taking someone's time, respectfully ask whether they have a few minutes to discuss the matter. Pardon me, do you have a few minutes? I'd love to discuss this matter briefly.
Direct communication is often more professional because it clearly states what you need without unnecessary emotional hesitation.
Confidence is not pretending you deserve everything. It is being comfortable communicating your needs without shrinking yourself.
Preparation creates genuine confidence. Because you know what you want, why you want it, and what you will ask.
Practice can reduce nervousness because your brain becomes familiar with the words before the real conversation begins.
You do not need perfect confidence before asking. Confidence often develops after repeatedly taking action despite uncertainty.
Every respectful conversation gives you experience that makes future requests more natural and less emotionally intimidating.
Over time, asking becomes a normal communication skill. It is no longer a dramatic event that fills you with anxiety.
Even an excellent request can fail when the timing is terrible, especially when the other person is overwhelmed.
Good timing begins with paying attention to what the other person is experiencing before deciding when to approach them.
A calmer moment gives people more mental space to understand your request and consider it without unnecessary distraction.
For important conversations, scheduling can be better than interrupting. This is because it signals respect for both your time and theirs.
Patience can improve your chances, because sometimes the best move is delaying a request until attention becomes available.
Timing also depends on circumstances, such as budgets, company priorities, market conditions, deadlines, and major organizational changes.
Before asking, look beyond your own urgency and consider whether surrounding situation supports a productive conversation. Waiting strategically is different from procrastinating because you are preparing to act when the conditions become more favorable.
The right timing cannot guarantee success, but poor timing can create resistance that has nothing to do with your actual request.
When preparation, clarity, value, and timing come together, your request has a much better chance of receiving genuine consideration.
Your reputation matters because people remember whether you consistently create value or only appear when you need something.
Reliability builds trust, and trust makes future requests easier because people already have evidence about how you behave.
When you repeatedly deliver what you promise, people become more comfortable believing that your future commitments will also be dependable. Helping others does not mean becoming a doormat. It means building genuine relationships where value moves in both directions. Strong relationships create social trust, and trust can become one of the most valuable forms of leverage in professional life. People often remember those who made their lives easier, and those memories can eventually create opportunities you never directly requested. Your past behavior becomes part of the context surrounding every future request, whether you realize it or not. If you want people to trust your requests, become someone whose work, promises, and intentions consistently deserve that trust.
The strongest asking strategy is not a clever sentence. It is becoming a person others genuinely feel comfortable supporting.
When competence and trust surround your communication, your requests naturally carry more credibility without requiring pressure or manipulation.
You can simplify the entire art of asking into a few principles that work across careers, business, relationships, and everyday life. First, clearly state what you want, so the other person never has to guess what outcome you are trying to create. Second, explain why the request matters and, whenever possible, connect your goal with something valuable or useful to them. Third, make the request specific enough that the other person immediately understands exactly what action you are asking them to consider.
Fourth, leave room for a genuine no, because respecting another person's freedom makes your communication more confident and less manipulative.
Finally, whenever appropriate, think about how your skills, effort, information, or contribution can create value in return.
The world will not automatically hand you every opportunity, but you can dramatically increase your chances by learning to ask.
Send the message, make the call, request the meeting, negotiate respectfully, and be willing to hear whatever answer comes back.
Yes!
A yes gives you an opportunity, while a no gives you information, but both outcomes can move you forward when you keep learning.
So the next time you think, I wish I could get that, ask yourself one better question. What would happen if I simply asked?